Hello and welcome. Chuck Lavazzi here, and I'm talking today with pianist Nina Ferrigno, founding member of the Calyx Piano Trio and the director of the Missouri Chamber Music Festival, which happens June 10th through 21st, 2026. The theme this year is Hope is the Thing with Music, and if you recognize that as a reference to an Emily Dickinson poem, you're on the right track, since the whole season is inspired by the poems and philosophy of Emily Dickinson. All performances will be at the Sheldon Concert Hall this year, which I think, as Rick says in Casablanca, is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. For more information about all that, surf on over to mochambermusic.org or check out the links in the video description field below. So let's talk about all this. Okay. So, Nina Ferrigno, here we are once again, as we seem to do every year around this time, talking about the Missouri Chamber Music Festival. But there's a very specific inspiration for the season. The title is Hope is the Thing with Music, which is a reference to Hope is the Thing with Feathers, a poem by Dickinson. And in fact, looking at your press release, I see that not only the overall season, but in fact, each individual concert refers to an Emily Dickinson poem. It's an interesting idea. Personally, I love Emily Dickinson. What gave you the inspiration for that? Where did that idea come from?
Well, I think, well, it's very nice to see you, Chuck, and thank you so much for having me on every year to talk about the festival, which is, of course, near and dear to my heart.
Mhm.
And getting back to, yeah, that launching off point to try and build the season. I think that like all the programming, it starts with the musical idea. So I had come across this piece by Judith Weir called Musicians Wrestle Everywhere. And I got into the poem, which is an Emily Dickinson poem that's talking about sort of the noise of our life and how it's really music if we choose to think of it that way. And if I might just read a few lines, it's musicians wrestle everywhere, all day among the crowded air. I hear the silver strife, and, walking long before the morn, such transport breaks upon the town, and I think it that new life. And and you're absolutely right. The title for the whole season, Hope is the Thing with Music, is a reference to her poem, Hope is the Thing with Feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. And I started to do a search about, first of all, those words, all poetry is so musical, so rhythmically based. And then just finding how powerfully these words have transmitted to composers for uh, years and years. It's kind of caught me to really be thinking about putting something together like this. And one of the things that always strikes me with, and of course, I can't speak to this being the same thing that intrigues composers, but I always feel like when I'm reading Emily Dickinson and I'm experiencing what I experience on an emotional level, that it's something very private and secret. And I think that this, for me, has something to do with the fact that no one knew she was a writer. There were only 10 poems out of almost 2,000 or almost 1,800, I think is the number, that were published in her lifetime. And it was her younger sister who found all these poems in her desk. And that just seems so profoundly personal um and special. So I think every time I read a poem of hers, I'm struck by that being special. And then having these composers put this to music is something very unique to
Yeah.
each piece.
Another thing that occurred to me, of course, you're talking about how sound is all around us, sound and music are all around us in the world. And of course, that, of course, is the concept behind John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds. But it's the philosophical concept that is, I think, informed the work of a lot of composers.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think with the cage too, there's this aspect of um he actually makes the audience part of the piece, right? So yes, we are all actively listening to what the piece is, but in so doing, we're also becoming the piece,
Yeah.
which is yeah, there are just so many universal themes in Cage's concept, but of course, going back to what Dickinson is writing about, nature and death and um, love and all of that. So
Mhm.
it's a beautiful season of
Well,
music.
and she does so in such a concise fashion.
Yes.
Now, John Cage is not on the program this year, but you do have Aaron Copland's.
Yes, yes. And it's my great pleasure to be able to collaborate again with Benedetta Orsi, who is the Italian mezzo soprano we're so fortunate to have living and working here in St. Louis. And Benedetta and I are going to be doing some selections from Aaron Copland's 12 poems of Emily Dickinson. And Copeland did intend for these to be performed as a set. However, we're pulling four of them out. The set is quite it makes for a pretty substantial listening experience to do all 12. But I can tell you a little bit of what Aaron Copland has said about this, that these were the first works that he had written for solo voice and piano since 1928. And they were written in a period between 1949 and 1950.
Mm.
And what he says about them is that the poems center about no single theme, but they treat of subject matter particularly close to Miss Dickinson. So nature, death, life, eternity. And then he also says that only two of the songs are related thematically. And he hopes that in seeking a musical counterpart for the unique personality of the poet, that he's given the songs, if you take them all together, an aspect of a song cycle. So we've excerpted four of the songs: Nature, the Gentlest Mother, Why Do They Shut Me Out of Heaven, Heart, We Will Forget Him, and When They Come Back. So we're sort of doing an eternity sandwich around two nature slices of bread.
That's a very nice selection. Now,
Yes.
one of the new things this year, we should talk about some of these, but one of the big new things is that you have a new home and a partnership
Yes.
with the Sheldon Concert Hall.
Yes. Yes. So this has been a dream for a while to be able to have such an incredible space for chamber music that we feel, is consistent. So and to the level of what the concerts are for Missouri Chamber Music Festival. And I had a lovely meeting with Peter Palermo. This was going back almost a year now, and just put it out there, like, could we partner and see about having the festival there. And he's been terrific, and the Sheldon's been terrific, just allowing us to come on in. And I can say the partnership will continue next year too, so 2027 will also be at the Sheldon, and we're hoping forevermore.
And you have a couple of guest artists this year, the Calyx Piano Trio and the Ariana String Quartet.
Yes, this is the first time we've actually presented an established quartet on MOCM programming. And of course, to take that step forward in the city of St. Louis, you just have to have the Arianas. They're just incredible musicians, incredible pedagogues, and very generous and creative uh, with their programming and their partnerships. And I'm just thrilled that we'll be able to uh, give them a concert. And just ahead of that concert, which is on the 17th of June, at 7 p.m. At 6 o'clock, there's a prelude concert that will feature quartets, young quartets who are performing that week and participating in the Ariana String Quartet seminar that they give every year. So that's a free experience beginning at 6 o'clock at the Sheldon if people want to come and support these young artists. And also on that concert, we'll be featuring Meru Adib, who's another area soprano, and she's collaborating with the Arianas on a piece by Augusta Reed Thomas in three movements that is also inspired by Emily Dickinson and her poem Upon Wings of Words.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be another great festival this year. Thanks very much for taking a few minutes to talk with me about it. Everybody, please check this out. This is the 16th anniversary, Sweet 16, for the Missouri Chamber Music Festival. This is almost entirely homegrown music. Anything you want to say before I stop the recording here?
No, I just want to say thank you once again. And yes, I hope people come check us out. We've got different times of day for the concerts. The first concert is a morning concert, which is on June 10th. And that's going to be just a sweet, delicious breakfast of chamber music.
And it runs through, yes, June 10th through 21st is the Missouri Chamber Music Festival. So once again, thanks so much. And everybody out there, please go see the Missouri Chamber Music Festival. You won't regret it. Next time. Bye-bye.